Scream is the 5th entry in the long-running Scream franchise and comes to us from directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, probably best known for their awesome Ready or Not movie from a few years ago. This is also the first Scream movie not directed by horror legend Wes Craven, who sadly passed away back in 2015. Scream 5 takes place many years after the events of Scream 4, where a new Ghostface killer has arisen in the town of Woodsboro, terrorizing a new generation of teenagers, causing the survivors from previous Ghostface encounters to return to Woodsboro in a hope to stop the killings once and for all. Now, Scream is a horror franchise that's prided itself on being able to quite bluntly poke fun at the horror genre, while manipulating the many tropes and cliches of slasher movies to subvert viewer expectations, like crafting characters who are essentially aware that they're trapped in a horror movie. And this is what I enjoyed about the first couple of Scream movies, maybe more so with the original, but that meta approach eventually started to wane with the other Scream sequels, as the franchise started to embrace the cliches that it had previously criticized. So I wouldn't say that I've been a huge fan of the franchise. I'm not really one of these people who loves all of the movies or even the TV show, but I appreciate the franchise when it's done right. And there has been reasonable concern about whether a Scream movie would be as effective without Wes Craven at the helm. But thankfully, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett have done a great job of capturing the tone and spirit of Wes Craven's movies. From the title treatments and music choices, to the effective whodunit storyline that keeps you guessing, with clever misdirects and red herrings that invite you to piece together this fun puzzle. Though Bettinelli-Olpin and Gillett have added their own touch to the franchise, carrying over the over-the-top blood and gore and the tongue-in-cheek comedy from their previous movies to create the most brutal and honestly most humorous Scream movie to date. There are some scares that are a bit over-telegraphed, with predictable camera movement and sound design, but I did appreciate whenever the movie would try to subvert when the scare would actually occur. In addition, Bettinelli-Olpin and Gillett made sure to provide their own meta-commentary on the state of not only horror movies today with references to terms like elevated horror, but the state of Hollywood movies as a whole. Scream 5 wears its status as a legacy sequel quite blatantly on its metaphorical sleeves. We've got a cast of new characters who get caught up in events similar to what has come before, while bringing in legacy characters from the previous Scream movies that fans will feel nostalgic for, and in turn preventing the movie from becoming a straight remake or reboot. Legacy sequels, or requels in the movie's terms, have become rather notorious in the film industry, and it is interesting that we've now entered a phase where these legacy sequels are becoming more self-aware with The Matrix 4, Scream 5, and heck, even technically Space Jam 2. Scream 5 is at least the most blunt about its intentions with its commentary, where the filmmakers are really interested in exploring how fandom plays a part in these legacy sequels. Whether it be complacency in allowing studios to keep making these legacy sequels, or complaining online when the movie isn't exactly how they wanted it to be. This is certainly a warranted critique, just with how toxic and entitled certain parts of fandom have become over the years, especially since the release of The Last Jedi, to the point where I'm certain there'll be plenty of Scream 5 text fandom think pieces that spring up once more people have seen this movie. I do think that the meta approach lessens the impact of some characters. A lot of the toxic comments that you might read online from certain fandom groups typically aren't said out loud in person all too often, whereas in this film these kinds of comments are said aloud, and they just came across as kind of cringeworthy, where even if cringe was the intended reaction for the audience to have, I feel like a different approach or delivery of these comments may have had a more satisfying impact. That being said, this movie is still a lot of fun, with the cast clearly having a great time making the film. The new cast in my mind are fine, they do the job of representing Gen Z or millennial counterparts to the cast of the original film, with Jenna Ortega, Mikey Madison, and Jack Quaid standing out. If anything, I thought the lead role of Sam was the least interesting of the newer cast, who gets bagged down with a lot of underdeveloped and frankly unnecessary backstory for the character, combined with a fairly wooden performance from Melissa Barrera. The real highlight was seeing Neve Campbell, Courteney Cox and David Arquette back as Sydney, Gail and Deputy Dewey. That was a lot of fun. They each just have a presence that elevates the film whenever they're on screen, even though they're playing into the nostalgic familiarity and tropes that comes with these legacy characters. Ultimately, Scream is both ironically and unironically the Force Awakens of the Scream franchise, delivering the kick in the pants that fandom has needed for a while, despite some expected slasher logic gaps, like people getting back up when they should definitely be dead. This is some good, bloody and exhilarating fun. Scream for Gen Z hits the marks that fans of the original loved, and will continue to love with this revisit. Scream gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you liked this review. If you want to see more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your mono fix. Bye guys.